So Licorice is here, and she's going to be with me for the video because there's a squirrel over there that she keeps trying to chase, and the poor thing just wants to pick up whatever it is over there, and she just doesn't want it to live. Anyways, so a couple of weeks ago I started a second channel because I felt really awkward posting vlogs for Kimberly Wilson under an account named Radiating Christ, because when I started this YouTube, it was because people asked me to, and I wanted it to be Bible-based or anything Jesus-related based. So I felt really awkward posting something about Kimberly Wilson under a Radiating Christ account, and so I made a second one so that I could post more, and I wouldn't feel weird posting anything under this account. And so I was intending to post on it like pretty frequently, right? And I started off and I posted like one video, I posted 2 videos, and then I recorded a third one that I have not posted yet, and I just realized that I never posted it, so I guess I'll post that one this week. But then I never posted it again. I think it's been like maybe 2 weeks, maybe even 3. Yeah, it's been a while. So yesterday we did something fun, and at the end of it when we got back, I realized that that is something I totally could have vlogged. And I sent a text to Harrison and I was like, yeah, we're really bad at coming up with content. First of all, for this video, I don't know if you can see this because I use my phone to record and I don't necessarily get to see because I use my back camera because the front camera's not as good. But hopefully you can see this. It's a big picnic basket, right, really cute. But then I found this at a little, I don't know exactly what it's called. It was kind of like a flea market, but like out in the open, and there were multiple little people set up. Actually, we knew somebody who was set up there, and I found this one, and it was $10, which none of the prices were really cheap. They were kind of like everything was kind of like way more than I would actually pay for anything, but this was the cheapest thing I could find that was actually cute. Anyways, so this was $10, and it's a big picnic basket, and the picnic basket I originally had, we broke when Harrison proposed because we took the picnic basket and we had to like push it against this thing so we wouldn't fall in the water, and it broke. So we were looking for a new one, and this one was small enough to where it would actually make sense. And then we finished up at that place and we came back, and there's a setup outside of a thrift store that's already in our city, and it was huge and there's so much stuff. And then I found a small version of that same thing, and I was like, that's so crazy that I found like, they're not exactly the same, because this one has lighter whatever things going in, and this one has the dark ones. But they are the same brand, which is kind of crazy, because I didn't even think about, I didn't think I would find a different one. So for this small one, I'm kind of wanting to try to figure out how to make it into a purse. I mean, like, it could technically already be a purse, because it does have straps, but like, I mean like an over-the-shoulder purse, because those are the kind I like. But, yeah. So, I'm gonna try to figure out how to make this into a purse, and I'll probably make a video over it. Anywho, continuing on. Yeah, so I realized that I have not posted on it since. But anyway, so this is the channel, if this works in editing. So today I'm going to discuss my tabbing method. Now, my tabbing method is not the same as everyone else's. A lot of people just do tabs in the different books of the Bible, and that's all they really do. So I'm just going to go over briefly what I do, and it's probably not going to be some profound new way or method of tabbing, and you're probably going to be like, Kim, I could have figured this out myself. But people have asked me what I do and why I have so many tabs and what exactly I do, because I realized that I wasn't just tabbing the books of the Bible. So what I do, basically, in a nutshell, this should be a very short video, but I talk a lot, and we all know that I can make a 5-minute video, a 20-minute video, so let's see if that actually works this time. But what I do, basically, I normally start the year with a subject that I want to study, and I know I want to study it. So this year, as I've said 400 times, I am studying the women of the Bible. That's my main focus for studying the Bible, excluding learning about God, who He is, and our identity in Him, because those are just given. You're going to study those every year. But specifically, I'm studying women of the Bible. And so that is one thing that I tab. If you notice, so there's Shiphrah. She was the midwife in Exodus. She was a midwife in Exodus. Okay, here's one. Here's Rahab. What I do is anytime I find a woman in the Bible mentioned, even if she's only mentioned one time in like one verse in a small section, I will like write a little summary about her and then put a little tab at the top and write her name out. And the reason I'm doing this is that because I'm making a glossary of the women of the Bible, and it's something that I plan to publish at some point, you know, maybe after I'm married or something. I'm gonna publish it, and then I'm gonna hopefully write a devotional based on women in the Bible. Hopefully. There's going to be 365 women that I can make a devotional about, because there are some women that are only mentioned by their names, and they're like, this was the daughter of him, and this was the wife of him, and that's all that there is about him, or her. That's all there is about her. So I'm really hoping that I can find 365, because I want it to be like a year-long devotional. But if I can't, then I'm going to do like a month devotional, or like a few months devotional. So what I do, like I said, I find a woman, you know, I read about a woman, actually, is what I should say, her, like Zibia, and then I write down, you know, stuff about her, and then I put a tab at the top. So that is one section of the tabs. Probably, I would say like 75% of the tabs, honestly. But then what I'll do is, if, like, for instance, like in, you know, Exodus 15 or Exodus 16, so at some point in one of those chapters, it talks about something that I've related to holiness. So what I do is, when I'm reading, I don't do this for every single page, obviously, because there would be a lot more tabs. But if I'm ever reading something and it talks about things that I might want to further study, or at least I have studied before in the past, and I want to keep it there so I know, okay, this is where I can find it, so that when I want to do more study or look back on what I have studied, that I know that, like, there's this one about holiness, this one's about holiness, this one's about holiness, this one's about holiness, this one's about holiness. So I know, like, if I'm looking to study holiness again, I can look through all of these, so I'll know that these talk about holiness, and this is where I should start. I also bookmark just phrases that I like, or pages that I've journaled that I really like. Like, I've journaled something, and for instance, if I've journaled this and I like what I wrote here, but it doesn't necessarily fall into like a category, because maybe I talk about multiple topics, or maybe it's just not a clean-cut category to where you can say, okay, this is about holiness. I'll use a bookmark, but I don't really use a bookmark that I have to write on. I'll just use one of these bookmarks, and I'll go back to it later. Sometimes it's just because I like what I wrote and I want to write more on it later, or I want to edit it and maybe use it as a post or something, or publish it somehow, doing something, you know, like maybe one day writing a blog post. Or if it just has verses that I really like and would want to revisit. So if I have a verse, it talks about God being our rock, our fortress, and our deliverer, and I, you know, tabbed it because I like that verse, right? So I do tabs for women in the Bible. I do tabs for specific subjects of the Bible that are brought up in that page. If you are a writer, I would highly suggest, if you're going to write biblical-based books, or just even like biblical fiction, so maybe you want to narrate a time in the Bible, and it doesn't necessarily give exactly what happened. Like, we don't know the daily life of like a teenager during the time of Acts. So like, if you wanted to like make a Bible, make a book about a teen living in the time of the first century church, you know, stuff like that. So even if you're writing biblical fiction, using tabs to mark places or topics that you might want to write about, then I totally suggest doing that. I also bookmark things that I relate to. So if there's a story that I'm like, wow, I really relate to this character, and this is something that I could read later on if I'm like sad or happy or excited, you know, something like that. So if it's a story that I really relate to, and I think it might benefit me, like if I'm having a bad day, to read their story, I'm like, this is similar to what I'm going through, and they still had a happy ending, so I can still have a happy ending, you know, kind of like that. So basically something that just gives me a little hope, or help remind me that God is still in control even when I don't really know what's going on. So things like that. So I think that's basically all I do, really. I have a very simple tabbing method. So things I relate to is one. Women of the Bible, things I want to study more, things I haven't studied yet and might want to study, verses that I like, things that I might have personally written down that I want to further talk about or write about or post about or publish something about, anything. So that's basically it. Like I said, mine is very simple. There are some people who have very complicated tabbing methods that are probably a lot better than mine, to be honest. But anyways, this is mine, and I hope that it was somehow helpful if you don't already do what I'm doing. So, bye! and there's a mosquito on my phone. Never mind, it went away, I flew away. Anyways,